Great, well, thank you very much. It's certainly awesome to be here today. This is my first time here at this Oceans Conference. So the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management has a new GIS for being able to manage the Offshore Cadastre. And by saying a new GIS, it certainly implies that we had an old system. And that we did. It's been about 6 years to get to where we're at now, but there's been a lot of pushback about all the different facets of this project. So just curious, has there been anyone here that has ever had to face major pushback when trying to implement major change in an organization? Anyone at all? Well, that's certainly been the case with us. We've been trying to get this new GIS off the ground for being able to maintain the Offshore Cadastre. Just a brief background about the Offshore Cadastre. It is a grid system that we use for being able to manage the outer continental shelf. This grid system actually covers 26 different coordinate systems, including multiple UTM zones, and also the state plane coordinate system, in addition to several different datums. So it makes it quite a challenge in being able to map all these areas. This grid system that we have it's for managing our offshore energy leasing. And it's actually broken down into protractions and blocks. Those are the different grids that we use to be able to manage this leasing program. And so, like I mentioned, we had an old system. And so certainly it was one that it's called the Technical Information Management System. It actually dates back to the 1990s. It's called TIMS. And there were a lot of issues with this. And our challenge was, how do we get a new system in place that can be used by anybody, anyone that has any experience with using GIS? And so I think that this cartoon certainly encapsulates our biggest challenge of trying to implement change. So one of the first challenges we had was that there was a steep learning curve for new users. This TIMS system is very complex, very specialized, and it's only used within our own agency. So we wanted to be able to easily bring in those your everyday GIS users, those that could come on in to be able to easily integrate them into being able to use this new system. Also, being able to edit our data in this old system of TIMS was very time intensive. It's hard to see it up here as far as these different screenshots. But it's probably good because these things are hard to look at for me. So the screenshots were showing that we actually would have these forms to be able to view the data. That was for the Offshore Cadastre. And then we would use text files actually to go in and make all these changes to this non-spatial data, and then have to run separate programs, including the upper hand corner there is an old Fortran-based code for being able to calculate the boundary intersection coordinates and also the block areas. Then we'd use a separate mapping application called TIMS Mapping in the lower right corner there, and that was used to be able to generate ArcInfo coverages so that we could be able to display our edits graphically. So it was a whole system that I was certainly not a fan of when I came on board about 6 years ago to BOEM. And one last thing as well, it was a huge downfall of this system was that we were unable to be able to generate protractions or any boundaries or do any area computations in the WGS84 datum. So like I mentioned, we have a new system. It's called the Boundary Delineation System, or BDS. It's made up of four major components. The first one being was how were we able to convert our data from these non-spatial tables and TIMS over to this new BDS? Well, we were able to do that successfully using the ArcGIS data interoperability extension on top of the FME, extract, transform, and load. And these translators were so successful for us that we were able to account for 99% of our data that was able to transfer over successfully. Of the 1% that didn't, almost all of that 1% was due to source data error. Also, geoprocessing is another major component of our new system. We don't have any customized tools. It's all the COTS tools that are available within your standard ArcGIS license. We also are able to easily adjust our XY tolerance and other settings to be able to meet the needs of our different project areas as far as the accuracy and also the precision. We also have new data production that we're able to do now by having standardized workflows that make it much easier to be able to produce the things that we need to have for our customers. In the old system of TIMS, it could take months to be able to work on a project for any boundary change. But with the new system, it's a matter of days. We also use ArcGIS Data Reviewer for the quality control checks, and we now have a common platform being able to share our geospatial data, especially with the other regions that are in our agency. And a big thing for us especially is map templates, that we now are able to create our official diagrams, which include the protraction diagrams and official block diagrams, for being able to show those boundary intersection coordinates and also block acreages. We can quickly and efficiently do that with map templates in ArcGIS. Okay, just as an example of some of our newest data that we've been able to generate, so for the very first time, BOEM, just as of last year, was able to publish boundaries and maps for the Hawaiian Islands. You're looking at 3 major protractions that we're showing here outlined in pink. This is showing all the different data that we have that we're able to now have as being official data. We have, I'm just showing here blocks that are intersected by the Submerged Lands Act boundary. So it has all the attribution that we need. We have boundary points with their intersection coordinates. We also have these baseline points as well, and that's how we are able to generate our Submerged Lands Act boundary. And then we also have sanctuary boundaries and many other layers that allow us to be able to effectively, finally actually able to show graphically our data and have it be easily shared with our stakeholders. And then these are also just examples up here of the maps that we actually produced, 2 of the 3 new protraction diagrams that we were able to produce using this new BDS. So just to cover the highlights, once again, we were able to progressively move away from an old antiquated system into a flexible GIS. We are now able to create, edit, and share accurate geospatial data for the Outer Continental Shelf. And a big thing, of course, is no customization. So we now have a GIS that will stand the test of time. And we are now able to create mapping products for the entire offshore cadastre, including Hawaii. And this example here is actually for Alaska, which is showing a recent index map that we were able to generate using our new BDS. So it was entirely produced within BDS and is showing the protractions, boundaries, and other administrative areas. And here's some contact information. So once again, I'm Jeremy Smith, but we also have Andrew Archer. He is our BDS project manager, in addition to Steve Schwartz, and he handles our contracts for the BDS. So thank you.